Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired. Generationally Speaking. Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. It is at the table where we sit together, all ages, all thoughts, all beliefs, or none. And we sit down and we discuss life issues using the scripture, the Bible, as the final response. I am just excited today. I know you're asking about my co-host, Minister James Durham, and Pastor Shamika Latte Oliver. Trust me, they'll be back with me on some shows coming up. But today I'm excited to welcome my special guest, LuDrean Peterson. You know what? You meet people along the way, and you don't know what type of relationship is going to develop. Well, you know, if I were to look at it from the standpoint of age, I would say, probably not. If I were to look at it from the standpoint of likes, maybe. But you know what? I found out a long time ago, you can learn something from everybody and don't write nobody off. And you need to have some young friends. That's what I said. Make sure you got some young friends. And then also make sure you got some old friends, you know, in chronological age. Okay. And so LuDrean is one of those persons, and I'm just excited to have her here today. So welcome, LuDrean.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reverend Smith, for having me on your show. I'm excited. This has been in the making for some time. So I'm truly excited and honored.
Well, I want to unpack this show because I want persons to meet the whole of who you are. And I always believe that understanding a person and seeing their journey, it starts back with their formative years. So I'm going to take you back to those early years, that little girl playing, that little girl who your sister was saying, no, you can't do what we do. Your mom and others, you know, keeping that protection, that hedge of protection around you. And you, as a little girl, wondering what's going on. Why can't I? Going through elementary, why can't I? Middle school, why can't I? So talk to us, first of all, about your formative years. And as you look back now, you know, can you see any turning point in terms of your commitment to move forward, doing positive things for your life? When you look back now, can you see and remember those persons who really sowed into your life and poured into you and to strengthen you?
Yes, absolutely. So starting off with little LuDrean. So I grew up in Southeast DC, which many from our local area know that that's one of the worst quadrants of the Washington, DC area. So I grew up in the hood, if you will. And growing up in the hood, you were surrounded around so many different things. I mean, it was nothing for me to walk outside and to see someone on drugs, bending over, nodding. It wasn't unlikely for me to hear gunshots and see people get killed from a distance and just move on about as if nothing happened. Children having children, all of those things, I witnessed those. And one thing, the media, oh my God, the media was horrible in terms of the outcome of children growing up in Southeast, and pretty much saying that we would never amount to anything, that we had two paths, whether you were a female or a male, that it was either going to be jail or you were going to get killed before the age of 18. So with that was already a lot against me, right? But my family, oh my goodness, my family, it was like, I was almost like that golden child. My family protected me in ways that when I was growing up, I didn't fully understand it. I thought as the baby that's how all of the babies got treated, right? I thought that was just the role that I was supposed to play and they were supposed to play. My sister, overly protector. I'm trying to remember in terms of fights. Like when I run into people now, they'll be like, "Oh my God, you used to be." I don't remember that. I think they remember my sister and the name of my sister. So I could walk through buildings and walk through schools and everything. And they'll be like, "Oh, little Ronnie, your sister?" I'll be like, "Yes." And it was just no problems from then. So my mom, oh my God. My mom instilled in me from a very young age that I could do whatever I wanted to do. I could be whatever I wanted to be. I was smart, you're smart. If you know the saying. Right. My mom actually told that to me and I believed it. My family members, like for the talent shows, everyone else would dance and do things. They would ask me to spell large words and to recite something. So that was my type of entertainment. School teachers. I could name all of my school teachers from the kindergarten all the way up to junior high school, my homeroom teachers and my special teachers, and as well as high school. High school, it gets a little bit bigger, but I have, especially my math teachers, I was like just a genius in math. It just came very easy to me, and my math teachers were honed into me. My English teacher, journalism, like everybody just was like, you're in the gifted and talented program. You're going to be this and you're going to be that. Like some of the science projects that I did, I would honestly like do my science projects the night before or 2 nights before, but always will win in regional. I would be like, this is amazing. So I know it was God hands on me. The spelling bees, I didn't study. And then, we would go from our little school, then you go to the regional and all of that. And they would be like, what's the origin? I was like, I don't need to know all that, but I would just be saying it just for show. So what's the origin? Can you use it in a sentence, please? But those things really were not how I learned to spell. It was memorizing and then understanding like the connection of things. So I came up with the formula for me, but my teachers instilled in me all the time of my test scores and all of these things. And honestly, I never studied. I honestly never studied. So God had his hand on me. And the last thing I'll add to that is peer pressure.
I wanted to ask about that. I really wanted to ask about that.
I had a little like smart mouth. I really did. So I know you can't believe it about LuDrean, but I had a smart mouth. So, but it was my wall. It was my wall of protection. I didn't want people to bring things to me or to put things in my space. So my friends smoke, drink, all of those different things. But one, I had asthma. I couldn't smoke, I would have died. So that wasn't even an option. Drinking, my taste buds were really off as a young person. So anything like that, it just wasn't me. So I'm telling you, God created me uniquely. And I wholeheartedly believe that. So all of the other things in terms of peer pressure, my little smart mouth, they already knew, like they didn't want a piece of me. So they wasn't going to ask me anything ridiculous because I would question them. So if we do that, what are we going to gain from that? And I was just like, listen, we don't have time for all that. We're just trying to have fun. So very unique, different type of child coming up.
Yeah, I was listening to you talk about your environment because we spend a lot about environment impacting us and dictating what kind of person we're going to become. But here you are, a stellar student coming out of this environment and then, navigating your way through elementary. Elementary is sometimes a little easy because, people don't really see you so much. But when you hit middle school and high school and the peer pressure can be very strong. So what kind of friends did you associate yourself with? Did you have a blend of friends? Like, I know these are my friends. I know what they do. And these are my friends. How did you How did you associate with these different personalities?
Definitely had a blend of friends. So first, my blend of friends, my first set was in school. So I wasn't gifted and talented.
Okay.
So we all were in the same main classes. And then our extracurricular activities, we will have maybe one or two different classes, right? My friends were nerds. If however people want to face that, but all of my friends were smart. We were separated from the other people to a degree, so none of us were showing off in classes, so none of us picked up on that, and even like, you know, a little peer pressure. My cool friends, we had a gang, but we were called the Good to Go Girls, right? So that's how it was. I know, hardcore, right? Good to Go Girls. And I'm still friends with many of them today, and we laugh about, you know, our pictures, and we talk about things that we went through, but together. That was a unity that we had together, and I was one of the leaders. But I will always tell them, you don't have to face that. And I don't know where that came from, but I would like be preaching to them like, you don't have to deal with that. So those were my Good to Go girls, and we had joyous fun. But then there were my neighborhood friends, right? My neighborhood friends, my family, they were like family to me. But, you know, all of them had their own little different ways. I think my sister was like the ringleader of that side, but they did what they did, you know what I mean? And they already knew who I was. They knew that I was not going to be a part of that. And all right, we do this. We have bake sales together, but when it comes time to that, Dream is not going to do it. So they became aware of who I am as a person. But one thing, in DC, right, the music was go-go music. Those were my go-go, my Good to Go girls. They couldn't dance as much, right? But my other girls, we party hard, like party hard at the go-go. So yeah, the diverse and the dynamics. I think really, if you like really take the opportunity up front to let someone know who you are and your expectations, they'll respect those boundaries.
Right. So tell us about church. Was church a part of your formative years?
Oh, from as long as I can remember. I remember church more than I remember a bottle, right? So out the womb, in the womb, everything. Like we grew up church was our life. It was our way of life, and we enjoyed it. So it wasn't like it was a problem or we felt like it was a hurdle or something that was in our way. We enjoyed church. One of the things that my mom did, she prayed with us every night. She had her praying time 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Don't come in the house. Don't do anything. Take care of your things around that time. That was her praying time. We did not bother her. By that time, at 8 o'clock, depending on the season, the street lights will come on and we will have to come in the house. And then that picked up to our prayer time. So we prayed every night as a family before we went to bed. No matter what we did, even coming up in the years, we hung out on Saturday nights, and my mom would let us hang out on Saturday nights. It didn't matter. We would have to wake up in the morning. We would have to go to Sunday school, and we would have to go to church. All throughout my life, I don't remember a time not ever going to church and not enjoying it. So church has been a part of my life. I got saved when I was 10 years old. And again, weirdly with me, around our neighborhood, they had different programs where you can learn how to sew, learn how to play basketball, so many different classes. I took the biblical route. I took the class that taught you more about Christ. And I was in elementary school at a very young age, but it changed my entire life and my perspective. First, it scared the daylights out of me. I was like, oh my God, can't do that because God's going to get me. I'm saved now. So I had that for a major portion. But my mom, prayer was our way of life. And I saw her doing it. I saw her in church. I saw her tithing. It was my mom that was like that picture of what it meant for church. And again, because it was instilled in us so young, we enjoyed it. And those prayers helped us. Like the Lord's Prayer, we learned that probably in the kindergarten. Psalms 23, we probably learned that in the first grade. Psalms 91. I'm so serious. I think we memorized that in its entirety when I was in the 3rd grade. And I'm telling you, living in Southeast and growing up, that was my prayer, where I wasn't fearful of anything. Like, it would be shots going on, and I would be like, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High. You know, we walking down the street. That was my shield of protection. How my mom talked about prayer, and all of my family members would call my mom to pray for them. And we would see miracles happen and things like that. So I was like, yeah, prayer. So I never had like any doubt or any struggles with God. Of course, we have struggles in life, but my mom was always there to help us and to train us. And in addition to Sunday school and church, my mom was that pillar for us.
Wow. So now you graduate from high school. Do you go off to college? And in college, how do you maintain that same self-confidence of who you are and that strength? What? Yeah, I'm in a different environment, but I know who I am.
So everything is so different about me, right? So my college experience was different. In the 11th grade, we took a class about preparing for the future. Mm-hmm. So I've always wanted to be a teacher my entire life. So we got the information, the criteria. Okay, I'm lined up for that. The duties and responsibility. Yes, that's what I want to do. We got to the salary. I was like, oh no, this is not going to work for me. And my teacher was like, go ahead through the process. I was like, no, I can't, that doesn't work for me. So nonetheless, I stopped filling out college applications. I had a scholarship for North Carolina A&T. I did not go. I was like, I gotta rework this and figure out what's necessary, because so many people were going to college and not finding a job in their area and coming back and working at Burger King and things like that. And I was like, nope, that's not going to be me. So I took some time to figure out what I wanted to do. I was very good in math. So I first started off working at the bank. Back then it was Crestar Bank. I don't know which bank that turned into now, but I worked at Crestar Bank. And then I enrolled in Prince George's Community College. When I enrolled in there,
LuDrean, first of all, how old were you when you started working at Crestar Bank?
So I was the youngest employee. I was 18 years old. But because we had to take this test and I scored off the chart, and then we had other assimilation and my scores were just like off the chart. The only thing that I failed was the robber. You do it in an assimilation with the robber coming. I could not remember what the robber had on. I was like, I grew up in Southeast. We are no snitching. Like, snitches get stitches. So I couldn't remember that part, but everything else, I scored off of the chart, and I worked at a prominent one downtown DC. Wow. So it was definitely an experience and a roadmap with that.
So working at the bank, that was right out of high school.
Yeah.
And then how did you then navigate from that job to your career in the government?
So I was like, all of this money around me, but it's not my money, right? It's not my money. I love math. So it was good. I love the customers, but I was like, this is not me. So I enrolled in Prince George's Community College, which I had planned to go to college at some point, but me trying to come up with all the decisions. So I enrolled in Prince George's Community College, and I enrolled under general studies. And my counselor was like, I cannot let you enroll in general studies. And I was like, why not? I'm trying to figure it out. She said, come, let you take this enrollment assessment. It will determine the aptitude based on the various things that you like. And it will kind of like give you some ideas in terms of a major. I was like, okay, I did that. And again, scored off the chart for human resources. Wow. So I was like, okay, human resources, like that wasn't my thing, but I was like, okay, I'll follow your lead. So I began to work with her. and she asked me if she wanted me to look for opportunities in the federal government. And I said, absolutely. So before that semester ended, I ended up getting a job in the federal government, Health and Human Services, who I still work for today, 31 years later. But what happened was I started as a student. So at that time, I was a co-op student. So I got credit for working as well as a paycheck. And it helped me to accelerate through Prince George's Community College very quickly. I got my associate degree very quickly. I don't even know how quick it was. And then from there, I transferred to the University of Maryland, and it was just on from then. So I got my undergraduate degree in human resources management, business management, and then on to my master's degree. So I got a master's in an MBA, and I have a master's in human resources management. And the reason I got those is because my job paid for every single penny of my master's degree, my books, my everything. So I was like, why not? My original thought was just, let me get through a 4-year degree and then I'm solid. I really didn't have any thoughts on obtaining a master's degree, but with my job and God, like everything lined up for me to get two.
You know, you talk about your teachers along the way who saw the excellence in you, and the one instructor, the counselor out at PG Community College said, no, I see something, I see seeds of greatness in you. So let's take this assessment and see where you score. And seeing that, and then her helping you, and then you following through. But I know people who get an undergraduate, but to get 2 masters, how did you stay determined and focused on achieving those goals? Did you stop living? Did you stay at home? What did you do?
So I skipped a little part. On the way in between that, I got married and had a child. Okay. So I got married and had a child, and then later on I had another one in between all this stretch. But with that, so going to school, having a full-time job, and having a child, although I was married, it still was a lot to do. But one of the things that I've always done has been time management. I didn't call it that when I was a little girl, but I always had my things to do list, and my mom would laugh because I would have at 6 o'clock, I'm going to do this. 7 o'clock, I'm going to get this last minute of playtime in because I knew I had to come in at 8 o'clock. I had my schedule like set out, and on the weekends, I would do the same thing as well. I just continued that as an adult. So I had my studying time. My studying time was specifically Saturday mornings. I will wake up extra early. So 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. was my study time on Saturday. And of course, it took a little bit more out of me, and it meant no partying on Friday nights, right? So that was an adjustment that I made for that, because by that time, the kids will wake up around 9 or so, or they knew, don't come and bother me until 9 or so. So we had our system in terms of work. I love my job so much that it didn't even seem like work at all. I engaged myself and involved myself. My work was like a hobby to me. It was like just having fun. The makeup of the family and all of these other things. My girls never lacked. It was very important for me to make sure that I carved out time for my other stuff, but they were the main priority. So some people have to carve out time for their kids and carve out time for God. I already knew all of the priorities, and then everything else would be adjusted. So rather it be me adjusting my school load or what have you to need to do around that. But it worked. It worked. It worked.
Yeah, I love the fact that you talk about time management, because time management is so critical. Whether you have children or not, time management is important. How much time you're going to allot for different things that you have to get accomplished in your life, and to hear you talk about how critical that was for you, and that's so much a part of who you are, and it has worked well for you and actually accelerated you. So you started off as a regular employee, there, and now you are a.
Yes. So right now, and it's so funny because they call me the senior historical knowledge employee. Like, what? What? So throughout my career, I started as a GS2. Wow. And I climbed to a GS15 very quickly. I stayed at a GS14 maybe a year and a half. Everything else, I got my promotion every year. And it was so, I don't want to say effortlessly, because that's not it at all. But my work ethics, I've always loved every job that I had. So going above and beyond was nothing for me. So at one point in time, I used to catch public transportation. So the subway, I would catch the subway, and I worked all the way out Rockville, Maryland, which was like an hour commute each way. I would take large manuals home with me, the HR manuals, and instead of reading books, I would read the manuals. And so that helped me along the way. And I always share about people when people say they don't pay me enough to do that. Like, are you crazy? Like, the opportunity is rewarding and valuable enough. People often miss that step. And for me, it was like, I can figure out all of these components because all of it works together if I understand the manual. So I started off at the table, the big boardroom table, as a GS4. But no, I wasn't one of the board members or anything like that. I was assigned to take notes. And my supervisor would look at me, because whenever a higher level employee would say something incorrectly, my facial expression wouldn't hide. I would be like, what? Like, that is not right. That is not right. So then after a while, my supervisor didn't want to keep looking to try and see me on the back row. And he told me to come to the table and sit beside him. So I was in the boardroom with senior executives way before. So that gave me my training of what to do, how to operate, and also what to expect. So yeah, it wasn't easy, because I know it was no one but God using me as an example to tell people of what's possible, right? And I was just being me, doing me, little nerdy, like reading, like putting things together, me, and God just made it happen. God just made it happen.